Fox News anchor Chris Wallace facing some criticism over his line of questioning for Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg compared to Republican lawmakers. Watch.
Inquiring minds want to know your twin children, Penelope and Gus, are they going out tonight for Halloween? And if so, how will they be dressed?
So Chasten, my husband, found costumes that it's kind of like a traffic cone. It's a little bit hard to describe, but bottom line is they're going to be dressed up as infrastructure, and I can't wait.
All right, a sweet moment there. But Wallace appears to have a more pressing issue here and questioning for Republican Senator Rick Scott. Here's that.
This ridiculous inflation. Solve that. We've got to live within our means like every family does.
But, Senator, you talk about living within your means. You talk about the debt. You talk about deficits. The Trump tax cuts, which were passed in 2017, the year before you were elected to the Senate, is estimated by the Congressional Budget Office that it is going to increase the deficit by over $2 trillion over 11 years. So should the Trump tax cuts be repealed?
Well, many are now accusing Wallace of committing a Democrat double standard, and we'll talk about that with the panelists here. Joining us to discuss is Newsmax contributor Tom Morelli and Republican strategist Amy Tarkanian and tax attorney Rebecca Walser. Thanks all for coming on here. Amy Tarkanian, I'd love to start with you if I can. What's your reaction to how Wallace handled his line of questioning for both? Mind you, we only played a snippet of each interview here, but what you've seen over time and interviewing Republicans and Democrats, is there a double standard?
Yes, there's a double standard, and all you need is a couple seconds to see that he's a partisan hack who obviously feels incredibly comfortable with his position, and the fact that he is now no longer hiding that he does favor the left. He's always favored the left, and that's no secret. And the fact that he also, I think incredulously, said that Jen Psaki was the best press secretary ever. And I find that to be incredibly offensive, especially since he works at Fox, where you have Kayleigh McEnany, you have Ari Fleischer, and then also you've got Newsmax, you've got Sean Spicer. They all did an amazing job. So for him to say Jen Psaki is the best ever, I mean, this guy has lost all credibility, and I don't even know why he's still on TV. He's such a partisan hack.
You know, Tom, I almost wanted or would have liked to have seen Senator Scott ask his own questions of the transportation secretary there, because there are a lot of concerns when it comes to labor shortage, supply chain issues right now. And the secretary has time, along with his colleagues from the administration, to head off to a climate summit in Scotland. You know, where are the questions about priorities within the administration and putting the American people first?
I mean, that's an excellent point, because obviously Wallace is tone deaf. He's so disconnected and so deep in the swamp. He's lost all connection with what's going on with the American people, with respect to inflation, with respect to goods being sold out in supermarkets, with industries trying to find supplies. Tone deafness, and actually he's really trying to cover for the failed policies of President Biden. He should have been all over Buttigieg of, why are you still home? I mean, the American people are suffering, and they're giggling about Halloween on national TV. It's disgraceful.
I want to go to Rebecca Walser on this. Look, I've interviewed people for 2 decades now in doing this job. I get that you want to build some rapport with your guest, but this isn't long-form interviewing. And quite frankly, we do have inflation issues, supply chain issues, major issues within the transportation department. That show it's not a 3-hour show. It's limited to an hour. You've got a minimum amount of time with the Secretary of Transportation. Should what his twins are dressing up for Halloween be a question for a Sunday show that is so limited?
Obviously, Sean, I would have to say no. And it's sad. I mean, it's this person's way of just making light of, let's just have him on and say we had him on and we interviewed him, but really not ask the tough questions. Thank God for Maria Bartiromo's Sunday Morning Futures on that network. Otherwise, it would be such a cakewalk. But let's just be clear. I mean, we absolutely have supply chain issues. We have ships now leaving California that are going to go all the way to Florida to be unloaded in the port of Miami. This is nuts. And this administration is not standing up to the podium and saying what they're going to do about it. In fact, it almost would seem to think you would almost, reading the facts, and speculate that this is an intentional shutdown of our economy. I don't know what else we can call at this point. If you're not going to step up to the podium and say what exactly is causing the supply chain problem and how you're going to fix it, if all you're going to do is say expect this for a longer amount of time, then Americans are going to say, no, we're not, and we're going to do something else, and we're going to innovate and figure out another way, because this administration is intentionally not doing it.
Well, there's a lot of frustration right now among the American public, and even according to NBC News, their new approval rating for the president, it sinks to 42%. That's where it stands right now. We'll see what happens next. Tom Borelli, Amy Tarkanian, Rebecca Walser, thank you, panel, for joining us.